welcome to the Sandusky Current podcast. I'm joined by Chris Wiedle, who is a resident of Sandusky, and we're going to talk about issue 5 that's coming up in November. So just to start everybody off so we're all on the same page, I want to read the current text of issue 5 that you'll see on the ballot. It says, it's a proposed charter amendment of the City of Sandusky, and it's amend Section 5 of the Charter of the City of Sandusky to increase the minimum required for competitive quotations from $1,000 to $5,000 and to allow the Commission of the City of Sandusky to set the threshold for city expenditures to an amount no more than allowed under state law. So when I read that, I see potentially 2 different issues there. So there's one issue about increasing the competitive quotations from $1,000 to $5,000, and it seems like there's a second issue talking about the threshold for city expenditures and raising that. Is that what you see as well?
You're correct.
Okay, so do you want to dive into kind of the difference between those two?
Well, the first is simply because of inflation. We have to increase the amount for that, just simply not to waste time.
Mm-hmm.
The second part.
And do you agree with the first part? Is that
yes, I have no problem with
that?
the first part.
Okay.
I think it's just a bookkeeping thing that needs to be done.
Okay. And how about the second part? What are they trying to get at with the second part?
Well, if you just read what's on the ballot, you have no idea what they're trying to get at. That's the problem. The city has decided not to put the text of what they are proposing on the ballot. They have massaged it and they have put this down on it. The state of Ohio, whenever they are proposing a constitutional amendment, they put the full text on the ballot. Mm-hmm. Not only what it is now, but what they're planning on changing it to. The city of Sandusky decided not to do that. Instead of simply repeating what the commission approved to put on the ballot, they came up with this language. And actually, this is a modification of the language they came up with. The problem is currently there's a $10,000 limit on what the city employees can spend without going to the commissioners for approval. And that has basically served very well, even though there have been a number of expenditures made over $9,000 that have been very questionable. But the real problem with this is they say up to the amount approved by the state of Ohio's figure now is $77,250. Mm-hmm. So they are asking in this ballot to approve it from the current $10,000 to $77,250, but nowhere on the ballot are those 2 amounts written down.
Okay.
So it's very deceptive.
Okay, so from what you said, my understanding is that you have right now the threshold's at $10,000. So for $10,000, any expenditure above $10,000, that has to come before the commission. Is that right? And
That's correct.
It has to be voted on by the commission?
That's correct.
Okay. And then, so what this is proposing then is to move that up to $77,250, which is the state minimum, so that any expenditure below that then would not have to come before the commission.
Right, and what that does is that takes the responsibility for spending a huge portion of the taxpayers' money out of the hands of the elected representatives. Mm-hmm. And puts it in the hand of city employees. Mm-hmm. The commissioners are the residents' representatives. They're the ones that are the ones to approve what is spent and what isn't spent. Mm-hmm. By approving this, anything up to that $77,000 threshold, a city employee can go ahead and check the box and approve it, and that money can be spent. Not only is that a problem, but they get to choose what fund that money comes out of. There have been many, many instances in the past few years where the sewer and water fund has been tapped for expenditures that have only tangible relationship to sewer and water. Mm-hmm. So if this was approved, sewer and water could be paying for even more than what they are now. May I give an example?
Of course.
The city bought a new boom truck with a crane on it. It's paid for entirely by sewer and water funds. It was over $225,000. Both the street department and the recreation department use that boom truck far more than sewer and water does. And yet that entire amount came out of sewer and water funds. This is the type of thing which, if this is approved, may continue to happen. Not up to the $225,000 amount, but up to the $77,000 amount. We need checks and balances. That's what the commissioners are for.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing that there, with this, there's the two issues, right? So there's language that it seems like maybe a normal voter wouldn't understand what's going on, and then there's the 10,000. There's the actual what's happening, 10,000 to 77,250. What do you have the language that was approved by the city? Do you know what exactly that was?
I can give you a synopsis of it. This amendment would increase the city's purchase limit for services and purchases without city commission approval from $25,000 to $77,500. It would also allow the city commission, rather than the voters, to set the spending limit for future increases. Now this is a quote, but it's actually incorrect. It's currently 10,000, not 25,000, as they said. But the big thing here is the spending limit increase. So as the state of Ohio increases the spending limit, then the city of Sandusky can also annually increase the spending limit. So if it's $77,250 this year, it could be $80,000, it could be $90,000, it could be $100,000. There's no checks and balances from this point going forward.
And is that because the voters are in control of the threshold right now and would not have that control if this were passed?
That's correct.
Okay. So if I were the city looking at this, I would see, there have been about 40 expenditures so far this year that are between $10,000 and $77,250. And based on Mr. Hastings' comments at a recent NAACP meeting talking about issue 5, he estimated that for each one of these requests for that amount of money, it takes about 12 hours to do the background work for whoever's doing it, and it's a really big time drain for the city. Wouldn't we want to make the city more efficient and have that amount of time spent somewhere else?
Well, yes, but there's a couple fallacies in what Mr. Hastings said. First of all, computers, word processing, makes it much easier to just simply change the wording in any bid or any quote. So you don't start from scratch with every single bid you put out. And if you're actually asking for a bid from someone who you've asked for before, mm-hmm. you simply bring up the communication with them and insert the new numbers. So first off, I question the number of hours it takes. Secondly, the people that do that work for the city are not hourly employees. They're salaried employees. They are paid by the city to do their job, and that job is to watchdog the city's funds. That's what they're paid to do. There's nothing that Mr. Hastings said, and there's nothing in the proposal on the ballot that they're going to eliminate salaried positions if this is approved.
But wouldn't they be able to spend their time on better things if they were?
What better things? They only have a assigned area of responsibility. Mm-hmm. That's all they have. If their job is done, they don't walk down to the next department and say, "What can I do for you?"
Mm-hmm. So another argument that you might hear from the city is that there are certain expenditures that we'd rather keep private. So, for example, undercover police car. That because we have to broadcast, right, that we're buying this police car, people can see it, see the process and see what kind of car the city's getting, and that might get out.
Yeah, I'm laughing now, and I laughed when he said it. First off, police departments, law enforcement has the ability in the state of Ohio to go ahead and take vehicles that have been confiscated in a crime. Those vehicles are available for simply a little court time. Secondly, what happens after the first time that vehicle is used? Everybody knows it's used. So, that argument really does not hold water. If every city has a different police car or a different undercover car, yeah, go ahead and change between cities. They have those relationships to do that. Mm-hmm. But to start with, if you're doing an undercover car, why in the world would you want a brand new car which only about 5% of the population could afford to buy? If you want an undercover car, go down to the used car lot and buy one.
I can sell my Camry. I have a 2000 Camry.
There you go.
Okay, so another argument that you would hear is that all the other cities around us are doing it, right? So they have the limit at the state threshold, and Sandusky's kind of behind the times with having at 10,000, it's unnecessarily limiting given inflation, given all the different factors. So, and the state has trust in the communities to make the decisions up to $77,250. So why wouldn't we just do that, since the state has given that as the minimum?
Well, I can think of a number of reasons, but the main reason is simply accountability. We want the people we elect to be responsible for the money that they spend, of ours. Mm-hmm. The city has done this. Mr. Hastings made it sound like everybody is doing this. Well, if you look across the ballots in the state of Ohio, proposals like this are not on everybody's ballot sheet. Mm-hmm. And when I questioned him about it, he said, well, that doesn't mean we're going to take it that high. And he said, well, such and such only took it to $40,000. Well, the city's not asking to take it to 40. They're asking to take it to the maximum and to continue to take it to the maximum. That's what we're really voting on. Mm-hmm. That's not what's on the ballot, but that's what we're voting on.
Okay. So going back to what's actually on the ballot, with the numbers not being on there, the state minimum changes, right? So if we put the state minimum that's currently on there, 77,250, that's not going to be accurate necessarily in a year if that's changed. So wouldn't that be an argument of not including the numbers and just saying, the state minimum?
Well, when the language came out of the law director to the commission to approve for the ballot, mm-hmm. that 77,250 was in there. Mr. Brady and Mr. Murray made a motion to straighten that out for the reason exactly what you just said, because it goes up. However, that could have been solved by putting in the word currently. They could have left that 77,250 and said it is currently 77,250. Instead, they struck the entire reference to the new amount.
I see. So this is related to issue a charter amendment from the 2020 election that ultimately failed then, but I think did include the numbers, right?
That's correct. In 2020, there was a charter amendment to take it from the $10,000 to the $25,000, and that was defeated, which tells me the residents of Sandusky want accountability. Mm-hmm. And by not putting any dollar amount on what's currently on the ballot, to me is at the least deceptive and at the worst unethical.
So just, we're probably going to wrap up pretty soon, but are there any other issues with issue 5 that you would want to address right now?
I just think that it boils down to accountability, Dustin. We elect people to serve on our commission. They are elected, they serve, and we do not elect employees of the city. They are hired. And I cannot understand why we would want to make the employees the fiscal agents instead of the commissioners. The commissioners are elected, they're the ones that are responsible to the voters. City employees are absolutely not accountable to us, to the residents. They are accountable to the city manager, and they are accountable to the city commission, but they have to do something seriously wrong for the city commission to dismiss them. So I just think it's a matter of fiscal responsibility. I don't think that it's right that an employee gets to decide how to spend $77,000 of residents' money. And if I could give one example. There was a brew bike purchased for over $9,000, under the $10,000 current limit, for a resident. Well, it turns out that brew bike was illegal to operate on the city's streets because it was not self-propelled. So $90-some thousand, $9,000, over $9,000 was spent for something that really had no benefit to the city residents, but yet it was a wasted expense. That is a wasted expense. We might be able to absorb a $9,000 wasted expense, but it's pretty hard to absorb wasted expenses of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 that a city employee decides is a good idea.
Has there been any follow-up on that particular case, on what happened, why it happened?
Well, it happened because of just what we're saying. It did not have to go to commission for approval. It was approved by a city employee.
Do you have a sense of how many city employees would have the ability to make purchases?
No, I do not. I do not serve in the city. I'm a resident. I'm just concerned about the fiscal responsibility and the ethics of what goes on in the city.
Well, just to wrap up, do you have from this conversation, I'm assuming you're a vote no for issue 5. Do you have any, just a final wrap up to people watching?
Well, I would say basically, who do you want deciding, who spends your money? Do you want the commissioners you elect deciding who to spend the money? Or do you want city employees who routinely send things to be approved, spending sewer and water money for tangible things that are not really under the auspices of sewer and water? These are the things that we have to be accountable for. And this helps us be accountable. We need to be accountable for the commissioners are the ones to be responsible for the money, for the taxes. We cannot put that amount of power into the hands of city employees.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome, Dustin. Thank you.
Thank you. So, just to wrap up, would really appreciate you, Chris, and we'd love to have Mr. Hastings on the podcast, or anybody else representing the city. I reached out to Mr. Hastings before this to try to get some of the answers as well, hoping for a response there. But we'd love to have that conversation on both sides of this issue, because it's someone that really affects the city. So
I think that would be excellent. Yeah.